competition is just going to tell me you're stupid for doing it this way. And I'm going to say, yeah, we are, but it's worth it.
If you're building or remodeling your dream home, this one detail can make or break the entire space. And it's not what most people think. Today's guest, Albert from Helmut Cabinetry, builds world-class kitchens that stand the test of time, not just in style, but in craftsmanship. We're talking heirloom quality work that elevates every inch of your home.
Trust is such a key ingredient with any business interaction. When somebody trusts you, then they know you're not trying to gouge them because you know they have money.
In this episode, you'll learn why good is not cheap and cheap is not good, how to avoid costly shortcuts, and what truly separates a well-designed kitchen from one that feels custom but falls short.
There's just small details like that that actually feel as different as closing, let's say, an economy car door versus a luxury car door.
If you're serious about quality, this conversation is your blueprint. Welcome to today's episode of A Well-Designed Home podcast. I am your host, Melissa from Timeless Designs. I'm the red shoe wearing interior designer because there's no place like your home. And today, thanks for coming, Albert. We're talking to Albert from Helmut. So why don't you tell us a little bit about you and a little bit about Helmut?
Okay. So I am the CEO of Helmut. We build world-class kitchens. I guess that's our tagline, and that's what
Yeah.
I'm passionate about. A little bit about us. We are from the Amish. So my father left the Amish when I was 16 years old. And I guess to sum it up, we try to create amazing designs coupled with old world craftsmanship with the best possible materials and methods of constructing that, so that at the end of the day, you've got the perfect marriage of design and craftsmanship together.
Yeah, I love that. Craftsmanship is so key.
It is. It is.
All right, so in our little questionnaire you filled out, you grew up in the construction side of things and woodworking. So how did that evolve into Helmut becoming a cabinet company?
Okay. So all of my uncles were in cabinetry, either owning a shop or working as partners in a shop growing up. My father had a general construction company. So I grew up around, the entire extended family in furniture or cabinetry, which meant anytime we were at any place, they were always inspecting the work and scrutinizing the bottom and the back side of things.
Right.
And as a young boy, I looked at them and was wondering what they're seeing below there. Why are they looking at the back side? Who cares? Now I understand. When we got older, one of my brothers, Lester, I had the opportunity to work with another cabinet builder. And of course, immediately said, let's start our own brand rather than just working for another guy. That's, we rebranded then, renamed the company, and we took our original family name, spelled it the original way, added the umlaut on top, and branded as a company. So that's how we became Helmut. So in a sense, we have this legacy of craftsmanship. We used to build lawn furniture. We built furniture, tables, lots of other things along with our general construction. So we grew up in that field. But it wasn't until about 15 years ago that we really focused in on, cabinetry alone and kind of left some of the other aspects. And part of it was just because we wanted to be more tuned with the finer things and not be involved in the rough in general.
Sure. Was there a defining moment that said, we want to be in luxury cabinetry?
Moment, I can't tell, other than everything that we have ever done, we've been very double or nothing in. That was kind of our reputation. And in South Dakota, there are many great builders and many great companies. And we believed that we needed a differentiator. And if we are going to try to swim with everybody else in doing the same thing, our chances are going to be slim to make it here. So we said, let's hit the market that we really love, and let's let our answer be yes when others say no. That has been a
Love
challenge,
that. I
but
love that.
it's not always as profitable. There's a reason others said no.
But the challenge.
The challenge is worth it. But here's kind of how it works, though, and we do this kind of like an addict goes back to what he knows he shouldn't go back to, but he's always addicted, so he goes back to it. It's not a good analogy, but we literally are in the middle of a project and we say, why did we do this again? How did we get ourselves into this pickle? But when we're done, we look at it and the satisfaction of the finished product
Oh, for sure.
sometimes rides the.
You forget those challenges and road bumps and U-turns.
Yeah. So we're constantly saying, okay, how could we do this same thing minus the unnecessary glitches that we had?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're known for world-class craftsmanship. What do you think sets you apart from the others in the industry specifically?
As I shared earlier, I think our biggest cutting edge or sweet spot is the integration of design with the craftsmanship. Because, and when I say that, there's a lot of things that do not make sense from a production standpoint. And there's a reason a lot of successful companies have serious limitations put in place.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say our biggest differentiator is design. And people say, what is design? Design is the small details that make the big difference. You can talk about watches, you can talk about purses or clothing.
Huh.
You can spend, the numbers are crazy. The difference between a cheap suit and a custom tailored suit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all just cloth and threads, right? Yes, but the tailor behind it made it from a $200 suit to a $2,000 or $4,000 or $8,000 suit, depending who the guy was.
Mm-hmm.
The same is true for art. I always say paint is paint and canvas is canvas, but the guy behind the brush adds the value.
Right.
And all that to say, when you're designing a kitchen, if your parameters are too limited, you can never get that look that needs that extra 1 inch or that extra tweaking
Mm-hmm.
to make things symmetrical.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always say the untrained eye can see it even if they can't articulate it.
That's what we say all the time is you feel when it's off, but you feel when it's right. You just
right.
feel it. And
That's
you
right.
can't
That's right.
necessarily say it's the symmetry, the proportions, but you can feel it.
That's right. And I would say I agree with the contractors that say wood is wood and boxes are boxes. Yes, you can only make wood so good. Yes, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to design, there is something about looking at it, and there are literally 1,000 details in a space,
Mm-hmm.
especially in cabinetry. It's unlike any other part of the construction, in my opinion, when it comes to how many options and details have to be held in balance as you're producing it.
Yeah. Okay, so our podcast is called A Well-Designed Home.
Mm-hmm.
What does that phrase mean to you in cabinetry?
Well-designed means we thought about it quickly enough and we don't have to deal with the architect halfway through. It also means that we've had time to talk to the clients early enough to plan the cabinetry side of things before everything's all framed up.
Yeah.
If it's all framed and done,
Important.
then we'll come in and we'll make the best use of that space. But because of the nature of the cabinetry, if we can be in design early on, and then we can say, hey, this is what we're going to need for this space, and we need this window moved here, and this pillar or beam should be moved for this. That's well designed for us. Coming in the last minute and saying, we've got it all designed, can you just build it? Has never happened yet. It has happened. We've been told that many times, but whenever we take what other people call shop-ready prints, I would like
They're
to
just guidelines.
Well, maybe they are shop-ready for somebody with a handsaw, but if we look at I would like to show you what shop-ready prints look like before and after 8 hours of tweaking.
Hmm.
That's so designed means we've thought through the details. And when it's done, you're going to walk in that space and our stamp's going to be on it and you're going to feel it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you mentioned architects.
Mhm.
So what approach do you take with collaboration with designers and architects to ensure that your work supports the overall design?
That varies a lot because most of the time we are contacted after the fact. But in the best case scenario, we are in communication with the head designer
Mhm.
of the whole project and the general contractor early on. That's our best scenario where we're in design early. That's the best solution that we've found because obviously if they come and say, "Hey, here's the space, give us what you have," then we'll do it. But generally, our biggest thing that we do is get in there as quickly as possible.
Agreed. That helps the collaboration from
Yes,
all trades and
it
all
does.
people involved to make sure that it really is going to be amazing when
Yeah.
it's done.
Mm-hmm. That makes a big difference.
Yeah. All right. What is the most important thing homeowners should understand about investing in quality cabinetry when they're building or renovating?
The most important in my mind, it is. Let's see which one's the most important. I'd say the fact
The
that
top three.
top three.
Top
Okay,
three.
so the top three, not in the order that I give them, but number one, it is the heart of the home.
Yeah,
Why should
for
a
sure.
prefab box, say who you are?
Mhm.
Because it does say who you are when you walk into somebody's home. And I understand not everybody can afford everything they want. But if you are spending X amount on your home, I do believe that the heart of the home should get a fair
Mhm.
slice of the budget. Also, when it comes to custom cabinetry that is well done,
Mhm.
I believe it's an investment and not just a luxury.
Yes, true.
If you're thinking about resale at all, then if you're going to spend 20, I'm sure you can get 40. If you're going to spend 100, I'm sure we're going to add 200 to your home.
Mhm.
So it is an investment from that standpoint. And thirdly, when it's built correctly, 10 years later, you're not
Mhm.
going to look at it and say, man, that was cool then and it's tacky today.
Yeah.
Um,
Timeless.
Timeless as much as possible. I would like to line up, our clients, and they would echo the same thing I'm saying about that
Mhm.
because I have lots of clients that are 10 and 15-year-old clients, and they'll tell you the same thing. We still love it. It looks like the day you put it in.
Yeah.
I mean, with exceptions of kids running into walls.
Livability,
Yeah.
right? Right. Okay, so on that, for the investment part, do you have a formula or a percentage? If you're investing X into your home, what should you be allocating for cabinetry?
Traditionally, we used to say 10%. But I know that that's very subjective. That varies.
Mm-hmm.
We don't always look at a $9 million build and say your cabinetry should be, 900,000.
Mm-hmm.
I still think it should, but it's not uncommon for an $8 million build to have, $500,000 in cabinetry. But
Yeah. The cabinetry meaning built-ins,
yes,
bars,
yes,
vanities,
yes,
all of the things.
yes.
Yeah.
And the challenge, I think the biggest challenge we face in that, with that percentage, is there is so much high production box mentality that really skews the number of doing things old world style. And we do use technology. We do use CNC. We do use modern technology where it helps us. But we still feel like there's a level of craftsmanship and design that you cannot get from just letting it spit out without a human being very involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it is a challenge where, the numbers get affected by the box company
Yeah.
model.
So that leads me into how do you guide your clients through that understanding of the difference between the big box
Sure.
and handcrafted
Sure.
cabinetry?
So I think customer education is one of the most important things in our sales process,
Mm-hmm.
where I understand if you cannot afford it, but explaining our process, how we do all of our joints, how we do our box assembly. There's a number of things that we do that there's some machines that we have had custom built because you can't buy a machine to make this type of joint on a custom scale.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not a repeated, making 100 of these same things, it doesn't make any sense. So just explaining the way our product and our process of building, which is mortise and tenon joining all face frames. It is datoing all the box parts. It is only using premium domestic plywoods for our box parts. It's 1/2 inch backs. There's no 1/4 inch, 3/8 inch. There's no press board. There's a lot of
Love
parts
that.
that are unseen and mostly unknown by the client.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a client's house the other day and I said, wow, these are like press board. These drawers are made out of melamine. She said, really? I thought they were solid wood. I said, look at the bottom here. Well, which grandma's going to look at the bottom side of her drawer?
Yeah.
So I think when you explain that, there's people that just need to quantify. They need to make, it needs to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with that. I like when they do that because we're not just saying we're going to charge you twice the price of our neighbors because we can.
Just because, right. Right. And if you are investing in a high level home,
Mhm.
I mean, it just goes with you want high quality.
It does.
Mhm.
It does.
Okay. So you also mentioned good is not cheap and cheap is not good. So have there been any examples of where that has led to costly fixes down the road? Maybe not for you guys, but that you have seen where you have to come in and
Oh.
potentially
Oh, I mean,
remedy.
yeah, that happens a lot. And I would say it's a frustration of my own when I buy something online. I want to know, is this cheap because they have a good system, or is it cheap because it's cheap?
Mhm.
And it's always frustrating to not just have the same bar of measurement that
Yeah.
you can say. I think of different examples where somebody said, hey, I'm going to get this flooring guy in because it's cheaper. And now after the cabinets are installed, we need to spend 3 times as much money to get somebody back in, not just to take the flooring out with the cabinets installed already, but redo the whole thing. That would be a very expensive example of cheap. I can think of a lot of them, but yeah, essentially, when we try to cut corners, it usually bites us.
Mhm.
And so that's the delicate dance of saying, hey, I need this much margin and budget to make this done right,
Uh-huh.
without making the client feel like, hey, I'm just putting on a huge price tag because I can.
Mhm.
Especially in the custom side of things. There's just, you want this entire room paneled. How? How do you want those corners done? There's a lot of details that will make
Right.
a big difference on my time and my cost.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Okay, so we talked a little bit about your process. What steps go into creating the fully custom kitchen or just a cabinetry project in general?
the first step is looking at your floor plan or
Mhm.
space and giving you a free estimate based on linear feet and
Mhm.
historic numbers. So if you tell me to come and measure your space or look at your house, and I'll look at your room and I'll say, okay, there's 20 feet of cabinetry and a 10-foot island, for example, and your ceilings are 9 feet tall, and you want panelized appliances, I know that historically that number is going to be somewhere around, more than 1,000 and less than 2,000 a foot. That's a big
Mhm.
range. But I kind of know from the options that you're choosing where we're going to fall in there.
Mhm.
So I give you an estimate based on those numbers. And my goal is to be within 5% of the final cost.
Hmm.
So I don't want to estimate something stripped down and then have you come in and choose all the bells and whistles and then ask why it's double the price.
Yeah.
Neither do I want to shoot so high that I haven't heard you well and you're like, well, you're too expensive. So I guess the goal is to give you an accurate estimate. It is an estimate, however, and then we ask for a 7% design deposit on that estimate. That is non-refundable, but applies toward cabinetry. So, for example, let's say there's a $100,000 project. I ask for $7,000. You pay the $7,000. We hold that as a retainer or earnest money.
Sure.
It is non-refundable, but if you continue through the process, 3 complimentary revisions come with that. If you would like to continue design after 3 revisions and you just feel like I am not satisfied, at that point we charge hourly to just continue. And some clients will go for a long time with that. After the design deposit and the revisions, we send out a quote. You sign the quote and we get 50% down. At that point, it goes into the shop. Back up one step before it goes to the shop, we do get final measurement verifications.
Sure. Everything in place.
Yes.
Final
Like it
measurements.
has to be, we laser template the spaces so that we're not off at all. We don't use fillers or +1s can look great. It's a great system, but we feel like if you can get the exact measurement and scribe just to the piece, it looks the best.
That is ideal.
Yeah.
And especially like white painted.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than like, we didn't think through that. And
Yeah.
now there's a filler. So with white painted, you have that line between the cabinetry and the filler. Extended styles, making it all the way to the wall and scribing it is ideal. Adds to that custom
It does.
look. Yeah.
It does. After we get it into the shop, obviously engineering looks at everything and makes sure that some cool idea that one of the designers had
Works
well.
We never do that.
That's part of the process of design. Usually the designers will come over and say, hey, I want to do this door with no trim and it's going to be up against this cabinet and it's going to flow into this hallway. How do we do this? This is how I'm thinking. And patient is very my grandpa always said paper is very patient. So it allows you to do anything on it. And that's what I would tell designers. It's very patient. It lets you draw anything. But when you hit the real world, you've got to build it.
Application and installation might be a slight bit different.
Yeah, so I always think margin, and that's one of my tunes to the design team, to our whole team is we need margin. And I don't just mean margin financial. I mean margin when we go out there, it's never perfect. That wall will never be perfect, even with the best contractors. There's drywall, there's mud.
Square.
It's not perfect. And so we need margin to make it look perfect.
Yeah. So then it goes to the shop.
Yeah.
Time frame for that?
It's usually in the shop. It's dollars per day. But if you have $100,000 project, that should be in every station about 4 days. So, and we have got about 8 different stations. So a $100,000 project should not be in the shop more than 2 weeks. Just every station, it's in the station for a day and then it moves on to the next station. And we chunk up the job in batches so that one batch is 1 day's work.
Sure.
And then we usually make a stretch goal. And if the team meets that stretch goal, then there's a bonus, like a daily bonus if they hit that goal.
Nice.
So we are trying to be efficient and motivated. We've got a young team, but a lot of very gifted individuals.
Yeah. Well, and your shop is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Very amazing. Do clients get tours of the shop ever?
Yes, yes, they do. Not everybody's interested, but especially if let's say there's an older gentleman that plays with wood and he's interested, he knows things about cabinetry. I will absolutely take him into our shop and, let your hair down because come and see the inside, see the dust,
really
see the real side of it because I have no trade secrets that I'm hiding other competition is just going to tell me you're stupid for doing it this way, and I'm going to say, yeah, we are, but it's worth it. So there's no trade secrets like this is our own secret formula for, mixing paint or whatever, any kind of part of the shop. But when I show clients the shop, I've gotten a lot of very good results from that. I've had clients that I didn't think I could close the sale tell me that's it, we're sold. We see how you're building this. There's no more questions. So that would be my motivation, because it is vulnerable to take someone into your backspace and show them the real side of things. It's not perfect. It's not. There's a lot more we'd like to do.
It's handcrafted.
Yeah.
It's a totally different setting than
It is.
box cabinets.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Okay. Oh, so what are some of the overlooked details that truly elevate a luxury kitchen from great to extraordinary?
Can you rephrase that? I repeat that?
Yep. What are some of the overlooked details that take a luxury kitchen from ordinary to extraordinary?
I'd say some of the overlooked details would be something as simple as the species on the interior of your cabinet. I think about one craftsman that I was speaking with, and he said, when you go to a showroom, everybody opens and closes doors and drawers. He said, why do you do it? You're all looking for a surprise. And what do you find? The same
The
thing.
same thing.
So
True.
if you just add, let's say, walnut to the interiors with some lighting or just those kind of details, you open it up and then you're surprised and it looks stunning.
It's different.
Just different.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. That's one detail. We have another detail that I think is overlooked or underestimated would be the types of profiles that you have. They're subtle and they're discreet. They're not just, how should I say this? They're not just, okay, let's just make a quarter round, or let's just make this big. If you actually focus in on the design of the profiles, there are some that just don't look good, period. And the difference is the small subtlety in this one that looks almost like that one. So I'd say it's small things like that are often overlooked.
Yeah. Well, and with profiles, with millwork in general, it's about shadowing.
Yeah.
And so over time, the millwork edge profiles have sort of slid and shifted, and they just don't have the same harshness, if you will, as 100 or 200 years ago.
Yes.
And so by having those profiles that accentuate that shadow as it should be, that really plays a huge part in how it appears.
Also the thing of the materials you're using. For example, if you use a premium hard maple for your painted products instead of a poplar, they're both hardwoods, but there's a big difference in the density, how hard they are and how heavy they are. When you close that maple door, you've gotten so many compliments from people who know nothing about woodworking to speak of. They're like, that door is so heavy. What is that? If you've got the best hinge you can buy and you've got a 3/8 panel instead of a 1/4 inch panel, you've got solid wood instead of fake wood, premium solid wood for the edges instead of a soft wood. There's just small details like that that actually feel as different as closing, let's say, an economy car door versus a luxury car door.
Sure.
There's a different feel when you get inside a car and the dome light comes on softly. It's a small detail, and it
feels right.
Yeah, it's not just this cheap little jing, jing, jing. It's just there's small details that make a big difference.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so you mentioned CNC. So what other technology do you use as compared to traditional methods?
I think the software for designing, I don't know if you can design. It would be very difficult to design well without software.
Sure.
I know there's incredible architects and designers and artists, but what software allows you to do is it allows you to scale everything and see it proportionally. If you ever have tried sketching something on a piece of paper. You constantly have it too tiny or too big,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't readjust it. Okay, I started out with this sketch, and now I'm trying to make this, and
Because your paper is patient.
exactly, way too patient. And so I think that would be the biggest piece of technology that we would use. We do laser templating their spaces. So if I go out and template this space, our designers are starting with this exact space to the millimeter.
Mm-hmm.
If there's no drywall on the wall, then we have a spacer that we put in place. So when they're starting their first prints, it's already right, if possible. In some cases, we're designing before the place is built, then we can, then it's floor plans. But if we can, that is a huge thing that we've added. And then when it comes to like finishing, we don't use paintbrushes. I know there's high-end companies that still brush paint, so it's hand brushed.
Mm-hmm.
You're not getting a higher quality finish. If you want that look, then it's great and it's cool. But finishes have evolved. We do use a 2K poly, and we use it because of how durable it is, how hard it is. But then we use very expensive guns to spray that. That I don't think you can get that look with hand brushing. So there's
Mm-hmm.
areas where I say, let's use technology where it helps us.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say in the design side would be the biggest thing, because I could take that design and build it with more primitive equipment and get the same results. It would just take longer.
Sure.
But I would say that's probably the biggest thing that I can think of off my head.
Okay. So you've been in the industry for quite some time, and how do you balance timeless craftsmanship with evolving design trends? You get it much into trends, or it's pretty timeless
We
throughout?
avoid them as much as possible. We don't push them, and most of the clients that come, obviously, we always ask them, what's your style, what's your time, what's your
Yeah.
desire, and typically, the clients that come have already seen our work and want what we do. There are some clients who come and say, "Hey, I love your quality, but I like modern. I like really, seamless modern," and we do that, but it's a smaller percentage. So I would say we typically, if they say, "Hey, I'm thinking of this, I'm leaning this way," almost all you have to do with most clients is tell them our product is going to last for a very long time. Unless you're planning to change it out in 10 years, I would recommend to go as timeless as you can.
Mm-hmm.
And most clients are like, yes, of course, we love that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, and there's spaces where you want something really
You
cool.
could be a
and
little
modern.
more out of the box.
Yeah. And we do that, but that's not our 90% job.
So those more edgy things would be more of like a slab door where it's full overlay. It's not inset. It's not panelized or anything. And then maybe color. That would be about as where you would get as edgy for design trends.
Yes, I would say we have one project right now. It's out of state, and we're doing this entire wall where the wall and the doors are all the same material. And if it wouldn't be for the handle on the door, you wouldn't know there's a door there.
Mm.
And so, but when you open the door, it's just, so that would be very modern. It's on a 57th floor of a high rise in a big city. So it's nice. It's like a luxury condo, but it's really nice. It's going to be very stunning, but it is not our everyday.
Sure.
It's not our everyday thing.
Yeah. So out of state, are you throughout the U.S., certain areas?
We are. We usually go. I say we go where our clients need
Take
us.
you?
Yeah, yeah. It is more expensive out of state than locally, just because of the whole. But transportation is not a big deal. The biggest thing you need out of state is two things. You need a designer there,
Mm-hmm.
because our industry is designer driven, and you need installers because your product will never look better than the quality of the install.
That's so true. You can have something so amazing and
Mhm.
have a crummy install and it
Yeah.
looks cheap.
Yeah.
You can have an inexpensive something and
Mhm.
have a great install
Yes.
and it looks amazing.
Yeah, that's
so
true. I would say, and that's maybe one area that I would say is often overlooked, is the importance of not rushing the install,
Mm-hmm.
and not trying to go cheap on the install. We've had a number of times where clients want to install their own thing to be cheaper, and then we're supposed to come back and fix it because we didn't design it well enough for their installer to handle. And yeah, there's always things that the installer has to catch on the fly, but um, a good install is very important to us. And so we have several designers that we work with out of state, and one of them in particular has a really good install crew. And it's just crazy to be able to build this space, send it, and then show up and see the finished product and say, okay,
Looks amazing.
my name's on there and I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Because there's some installs where I don't want my name on there.
Mm.
I'm okay selling it to them.
Mm-hmm. So you guys also install?
We do.
Yeah.
Yes.
Locally.
Locally,
Yeah.
we do install out of state. It's just more expensive. I just say you
Yeah.
need to pay travel and time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you wish more clients asked about or understood before starting a custom cabinetry project?
I don't know if I want them to ask, but I do want them to understand that I think I would like them to understand the difference between what we're doing and what is standard and normal. Like for them to understand that is what creates trust. If they don't understand that, then we're ripoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't work with somebody who doesn't trust me or double guesses every number I give them.
Sure.
If they think I'm just high priced because I can, then there's not that level of trust. And trust is such a key ingredient with any business interaction.
Mm-hmm.
When somebody trusts you, then they know you're not trying to gouge them because you know they have money.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the biggest thing I'd like them to understand.
Their best interest at
Yes.
heart. Mm-hmm.
Because I want to sell it as cheap as I can while making as much money as I can with everybody being perfectly happy and fair. Like that's the goal. So we're not trying to just say, we don't need you guys, we're tripling our price. That's not happening.
Yeah. One piece of advice you'd offer someone building their dream home.
Get with a designer that you trust and then listen to them mostly. And I think a good example of that I would give is we had a doctor that we worked with, and he had an expensive designer from out of state. And I watched him and his wife listen to that designer, and they wanted the look that that designer gave them. And so they listened to her.
Mm-hmm.
There was a few details where they were just like, no, this is not important to us, and we don't care that the edge banding on the shelves in the pantry looks like this. So they did override certain things, but they got an amazing result because they listened to her.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't have chosen that checkered tile or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know that sometimes. And I would say that in contrast to the people who say, I don't trust any designers. And they are so insanely, what's the word? They're really OCD about certain details.
Mm.
And then there's bigger things that just totally get dropped.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get blamed for them. And the truth is, you didn't want us involved in that part of your install, in that part of your countertop.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what affected all of this.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like part of getting a beautiful product is choosing the right person and then letting go a certain amount.
Very true. Love it. Okay. So where can listeners see your work and learn more about Helmut Cabinetry?
Well, they could all come to our showroom, and anybody who comes to our showroom and tells me they saw me or heard me, they can have a free cup of coffee in our coffee shop.
Yeah.
And that's in Mitchell, is our main showroom.
Yep.
And then we've got a nice display at the Central Kitchen and Bath showroom on Kiwanis. That would be a very similar display that looks very much like us. When you see our spaces, most people that know us can walk into a space and say, okay, that's Helmut.
Yeah, for sure.
And so that's the brand promise. Our brand promise is that it's going to be beautiful and you're going to love it. Because that's what a brand is. It's a promise to a client. It's not just a taillight warranty that says as soon as your taillights are gone, I hope you don't come back.
Sorry.
Yeah. We value happy clients very highly, to our own hurt. But it is our brand that we're protecting by taking care of our clients.
Yeah. Website?
Helmut.com.
Perfect. Social media, same thing. Helmut?
Social media is going to be, Instagram is Helmut_USA. And that is where I would recommend you look for our widest selection of photos, posts. Even following us, you're going to see interesting things on the company, and in behind the scenes stuff gets posted there. We're not the best at posting things about ourselves, but when we do, it's great.
Awesome.
It's just not fun.
Well, thank you. This has been really helpful, really great.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for tuning into a Well-Designed Home podcast. We hope today's episode inspired you to take the next steps towards creating the home of your dreams. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. New episodes are uploaded every Friday afternoon for your listening delight. We'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review to help more listeners discover the show. And while you're at it, sign up for our newsletter at timelessdesignsbymelissa.com to have every episode and other design-related items delivered directly to your inbox. Looking for more resources? Download our complimentary guide, How to Hire the Right Interior Designer, on our website to ensure your next project is a success. Stay connected with us on social media. Follow Timeless Designs by Melissa on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube for behind-the-scenes content, design tips, and so much more. If you're ready to start your own design journey or have questions, reach out to us at concierge@timelessdesignsbymelissa.com. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks again for joining us on a Well-Designed Home podcast. Until next time, here's to making every space a timeless reflection of you.